What's up YouTube? It's Ben, and in this video I'm going to talk about 5 challenges in recruitment and how to overcome them. Alright, so welcome back to my channel, depending on if you already subscribed to my stuff. Hey, if you're not in my Facebook group, there is a link in the description of this video to Recruiter Empire. That is where we have 10,000 other recruiters, entrepreneurs, tons of free information, content, material, things that you definitely want to get a hold of. So link in description, you should definitely join the Facebook group. Alright, so let's get right into it. I'm going to go over 5 specific challenges that pretty much everybody in recruiting goes through and exactly how to overcome them. Challenge number 1 is actually starting your recruiting agency. Honestly, the first part of this challenge in recruiting is having the motivation and having the drive and having the desire to actually be in business, to be an entrepreneur and actually do it. I tell people all the time that this is not a turnkey business in a box. If you're not a true entrepreneur, it's probably not the business for you. You've really got to have that fire inside you. You definitely have to have that desire to want to make money, make an impact, help people, and work on the business. A lot of things are going to be challenging, like we're talking about, and you have to be really up for that. On top of just that piece, which is huge alone, a lot of people have troubles with what should my website look like? How do I formulate an LLC? Or what should my recruiting agency be named? And they go through all of these things days over days, months over months, and sometimes even years. And if that's you, it's probably not the best business. And this challenge is so easily overcome if you have a mindset shift. And I'm going to give you a solution to this. So because so many of these things can be so overwhelming for people and basically almost cause analysis paralysis, which is where you don't want to be, the solution is quite simple. Basically, don't think about it, be about it. Just go ahead and pick a name for your recruiting agency. Don't waste time trying to find the perfect name. There is no such thing. That doesn't exist. Create a website on Wix, Weebly, Squarespace, any of those sites that are drag and drop. They're about $30 a month, maybe, just to maintain a beautiful website with tons of templates, and you could probably be done in about an hour or so. Now, momentum breeds momentum. So when you start feeling challenged about getting started and getting your business started, literally take more action. So the more action you take, the more momentum you're going to breed, and that's going to breed more momentum. You don't learn how to build a business by learning how to build a business. You learn how to build a business by building a business. So challenge number 2, acquiring clients. Okay, so oftentimes people think that this is one of the most daunting things in recruiting. However, it's actually quite the opposite. It's relatively easy when you have the right systems and processes and the right blueprint to follow on how to acquire clients. People find client acquisition scary because they think they have to have a niche, they think they have to have the specialty, they think they have to be an expert in whatever they're doing. And that's simply not reality whatsoever. So naturally, often people just don't know where to start with client acquisition. Like, where are the clients? Who are the clients? What do I say to the clients? Overcoming all of this is super easy once you understand exactly how client acquisition works. And I'm going to tell you right now. So there's a certain set of systems and technologies that you utilize to acquire clients. And those would be LinkedIn, automation, cold email campaigns, or even the phone if that's your vibe. Most of these things I talk about on many other YouTube videos that you can find, but that's essentially the core of client acquisition, the reach out. My personal favorite and what I talk a lot about on YouTube is LinkedIn automation plus cold email automation with campaigns. So that gets me conversations started on a mass scale, which gets me conversions, deals, clients, placements, and ultimately money. Targeting is a huge thing when it comes to client acquisition. So you have to understand that ultimately it's a top-down strategy. So whoever's at the top of the food chain, that's the person that ultimately makes decisions. They're the person that holds the purse strings. They will spend the money on using you as a recruiter, and they'll validate and sign off on a contract. So understanding who to target when you actually get into these systems and tech and all that stuff is really, really important. important. The last thing I want to mention about client acquisition, beyond the technology, beyond anything else, is building strong relationships with the clients that you do engage. If you're going to succeed in acquiring good clients long term, you are definitely going to want to build good, strong relationships with those clients and deliver on the solutions for their needs. All right, so naturally, challenge number 3 would be acquiring candidates. So people get really tripped up on this, and I want to be super clear. At the time of me filming this video right now, it has never been easier to acquire candidates in America. We have a labor shortage currently, and we have more open positions than we actually have people available to fill those positions. Clients having a labor shortage and having a really strong need for candidates, and us having the ability to find candidates, it's a recruiter's market. Not only a candidate's market, but a recruiter's market, which is basically really good for us. So there are 2 main challenges that I find with people acquiring candidates. The first one being people don't know where to find candidates. The second one being people don't know how to interview or interact with candidates. Now, if you were a job seeker right now looking for a job and you wanted a specific type of job, whatever it was, where would you look for that job being posted, advertised, whatever? How would you go about finding that job? Craigslist, Indeed, LinkedIn? Would you need to be contacted by a recruiter over email? What exactly would get your attention if you were seeking a particular job? That right there is the answer to where you find your candidates. You identify where that job seeker is looking, where that job seeker is going to be, and you go there and you find them there. This is simply a reverse engineer strategy, figuring out where the candidate's going to be looking for the job, going to that particular place. Maybe it's Craigslist, maybe it's Indeed, maybe it's going to be LinkedIn, or maybe you have to email and poach or headhunt in recruitment to actually find that candidate. But whatever you do, you reverse engineer the process. That's how you identify where the candidate is going to be. So problem number 2, which is the interviewing and engaging of candidates. Now let's solve this problem real quick. If you have a job description from your client, a resume from your candidate, and a really good understanding of what your client actually wants in a candidate, you're good to go. All you have to do as the recruiter or matchmaker is identify the resume and the job description and make sure that things match up. And you do this by an interview on the phone generally, where you basically ask questions throughout both documents, right? And follow-up questions to make sure that person is telling the truth and those things are valid and they meet the actual criteria that your client is going to want to hire for. Boom! Once you master that process, you can rinse and repeat and hire as many candidates as you can find. So on to challenge number 4 that many people face, which is building out systems and processes so that you can, 1, work more efficiently, 2, so that you can make more money, and 3, you can save and allocate more time. This is the second to last bottleneck that every single agency inevitably comes to at some point or another. So once your business is cash flowing, you want to streamline things, right? And it's not easy. All right, so here's the solution. Audit your entire business process workflow from start to finish. Identify every single pain point or bottleneck in the business process workflow and fix them. For instance, if you find that client acquisition is getting overwhelming, you may or may not need a robust software CRM where you can store tons of data and share it with your team members. If your candidate interview process is too long, too complex, costing you wasted time, that's a bottleneck. Figure out exactly how you can fix that. Maybe cut the phone calls in half. Maybe ask way more succinct, better questions. Well, do whatever you have to do to basically simplify that process so that you can streamline that bottleneck and make it a better, more efficient process. Start using LinkedIn automation in way more targeted ways. Improve your cold email messaging. A, B, C, split test different messaging and campaigns to see what converts better. What do you get more responses on? Then use more of that, right? And follow up, follow up, follow up. All right, so the 5th and final challenge that everyone in recruiting faces is scaling your agency. All right, so now that you've created a money minting machine that has processes and systems and it's relatively efficient, how do you go wider and higher? Because trust me on this, if you want to stay in the same spot, you can make $250,000 a year, $500,000 a year, every single year, almost guaranteed, if you stick with exactly what you have right now. I think everyone's heard the concept that your first million is the hardest and your second million is inevitable. The reason being is because your first million, you're learning how to make $1 million. The second million, you already know how to make $1 million. Now that you're at this point, again, rather than staying stagnant, one of the first things that you need to realize is that this business has no cap, meaning there is no ceiling. You can go as high as you want. Now, some people love that aspect. Other people are totally content with staying at whatever revenue level they've gotten to, and that's okay. But let's talk about the solution to actually scaling to the moon. So there's a lot of ways that you can scale, but I'm going to name 4 solutions to the scaling challenge. So solution number 1, raising your fees. And this could double your revenue in 1 year. Now, on top of what you're already charging, you can increase your fees by anywhere from 8%, 12%, or 15%, and you could disproportionately make way more income and revenue than you did previously. This is essentially scaling by increasing the bottom line. All right, so solution number 2 on the scaling challenge is creating higher volume deals. Okay, so let's say that you've been placing for clients that only need onesie twosies, and that still pays really, really well and you're doing great, but what if you were to find clients down the street that have needs like 5 or 10 people at a time? That's gonna pay equally as well, or it could augment what you're doing with the onesie twosies and increase your bottom line as well. Volume deals are an amazing thing and make a ton of money. This would put you in a position where you are inherently scaling because you're getting clientele that are giving you 2 to 5x the previous business that you had, maybe on top of that business as well. So you're basically increasing the bottom line like we said before, but you're also making a really, really big move that's relatively easy to do and scaling your business. All right, so scaling solution number 3, going higher and wider in terms of niche and industry. Just to be clear, when I talk about going higher and wider, I'm talking about getting outside the box of whatever niche or specialty that you've been stuck in, if that's the case for you. A lot of people stick down into their niche or specialty and think that's the only thing that's gonna make them money, when in reality, if you have 2 or 3 different specialties or niches and even more, it's just more revenue. So think about niches like legal, finance, medical, things like that, right? Referencing the previous things I talked about, on your technology, on your reach out, right, and your automation, send messaging out, cast a wider net to those industries, to those niches, and those decision makers, right? Casting a wider net is only going to bring you more fish. All right, so my 4th and final scale solution is to build a team. All right, so if you want to scale a recruiting agency to the 7-figure or multi-7-figure and even the 8-figure level, this move is absolutely inevitable. It has to happen. The workload needed to support all of that revenue cannot be done by 1 or even 2 people. Now, this means that you, as the founder of your recruiting agency, are working more on the business and not in the business. And there's a huge difference, and that is the ultimate goal. All right, so those are 5 challenges in recruiting and 5 solutions to overcome all of them. All right, so if you got any value out of this video, I would truly appreciate a tap on that thumbs up button. Subscribe if you're not subscribed already. Remember to join our Facebook group, link in description. Until next time.